Dynasty Warriors 5 came out 20 years ago, and still to this day people consider this particular game to be the best Dynasty Warriors game of all time. I even made a poll tournament months back to pit all the Dynasty Warriors games in my community, and it came out on top every time. I promised I would do a video covering whatever game won that poll. So today, we're going to be looking at Dynasty Warriors 5 combined with the Xtreme Legends version to see how this game is considered the definitive Dynasty Warriors game. Now, what can upset the tone for the game? Well, it's openings. Both versions of Dynasty Warriors 5 give two awesome openings. Zhao Yun mowing down Southpiece, 1,000-strong Wei forces all by himself. Then there's Ling Tong facing a bunch of soldiers on a precarious mountain, till Gan Ning comes along and destroys the platform they are on. The music is amazing, the fighting is awesome, non-stop fast-paced action, and gets you hyped right off the bat. Now, here we are at the menu. To be honest, compared to other games, it's not the busiest of menus with cool music or some cool shots of characters, but I am a sucker for simplicity, and I love the silence of just the desert wind in the background. It kind of gives me a real nice calm before the storm vibe with this game. Moving on with the menu, if you have both Dynasty Warriors 5 and Xtreme Legends combined into one, you have these modes: Musou mode, Free mode, Legend mode, Destiny mode, Extreme mode, Challenge mode, Edit mode, Camp, Encyclopedia, and Options. Let's get started with talking about these modes, starting with the first one on the list, Musou mode. Musou mode is your story mode. It allows you to play as every character through a 5-stage story mode of what would be considered that character's most important battles. So it's not too hefty, and you get nice replayability out of it too. One of the nicest additions that I don't think other games did was give us some moments to hear this character's thoughts before a battle with background music that fits the character's personality. You get to take a bit of a deeper connection with them, getting an introduction of them and hearing their thoughts and opinions on them. It's a feature that would be great for especially new characters in later games, but sadly never returned. Maybe a bit in DW9, but wasn't executed well, if I remember correctly. Moving on though, we also get a chance to hear from the rulers and strategists with a briefing on the battle ahead. You once again get a nice background song that sounds so triumphant as you listen to the person giving their briefing and their speech to close out before going on to the preparation menu. The replayability is so good because you can even get different variations of cutscenes and how things play out sometimes depending on the character you play as, despite them being in a similar battle to someone you may have already previously played. It's so cool. The game gives pre-rendered cutscenes as well depending on the battle too, and to make it even better is that every character gets their own pre-rendered ending too. The execution of the story mode as a whole is just really well done and gives you much more reason to play as each character. Now let's move on to the free mode, which is pretty self-explanatory. This is also where we'll talk about the battle and combat in this game too. Free mode is where you can play every stage you unlocked with every character you've unlocked. There's no limitations on this, so you can play whoever, wherever. Once you pick the battle, you can pick the difficulty, similar to how you can in Musou mode. There are Novice, Easy, Normal, Hard, and the famous Chaos difficulty. Another thing to point out with difficulty is the difficulty the stages themselves have. In free mode, they have it in order of what battle came first, from 180 AD to what came last in 234 AD. From top to bottom in this order, the earlier stages are easiest while the final stages are the hardest. Once you boot up a battle, you go to the character select screen, pretty similar to Dynasty Warriors 4 with its character select, except this time instead of a black screen with fire that fit the game's aesthetic, you get a background with an animated sky and a wall behind you with the character looking into the distance. It kind of gives a bit of a dynamic look for them. I really like the music, because the music just amps up as you go into the battlefield and character select, showing that you are about to jump into some crazy battle. One other thing to point out is that you can also change the outfit of your characters. For this game, they gave you 4 options. The one the character is defaulted to in Dynasty Warriors 5, a Dynasty Warriors 5 palette swap, the outfit from Dynasty Warriors 4, and one of the old outfits from Dynasty Warriors 4. Was really happy to see that they brought back some of these outfits into this game. Now that we got our character selected, we are now in the preparation screen. We have our preparations for the character itself where you can choose their weapon, items, and bodyguard. In this game, you have different tiers of weapons that you can unlock and upgrade. In order to unlock them, you need to find these weapon boxes that are either scattered out on the map or pick up from a defeated officer. The harder the difficulty, the better weapons you get. You can then upgrade them in the camp, which we'll talk about later. The game gave options for light, medium, and heavy weights that are also randomly placed on an item pickup. It's pretty self-explanatory. If it's light, you hit faster, less damage and whatnot. Then medium is a nice combo of both, while heavy is slow but more damaging, and I've been told it can break guards too. You can let me know if that's right or wrong. That's what I've been told at least. There are also even stronger level 4 weapons that you can get by doing some requirements. You can hold up to 4 weapons at a time if you want to use another desired weapon. Each weapon level will get stronger the more you go up, as well as give you more moves to use in battle. Now I'll say real quick, I'm kind of on the fence with both of them. One, for the weight of it. I'm not exactly a huge fan of the weight system that they had. I can understand and appreciate the gimmick that they were going for it, but at least from a personal standpoint, I didn't really care too much for it. I didn't really like it too much. I'm very in between of whether or not I just like leveling up the weapon and making it stronger with more moves that way, like in some other games, or if you just get better weapons either from like buying them from like more recent games, or if I do actually like the RNG pickup. I'm kind of on the fence between all of them, but I don't really hate either one, but I'm not exactly a huge fan of how it was done this way, and you can't really change the weight of the weapons as far as I know. Again, you can let me know down in the comments if I'm incorrect, but it's not my favorite feature, but it's not one I so much hate, is what I'll say at least. But now on to the items. There are different slots here. One slot offers you a mount, from a horse to an elephant. These will require specific conditions to unlock them. Next, we have orbs. Contrary to Dynasty Warriors 4, where you have 6 orbs, this game gives you 4. The fire and ice orbs make a return, which either drain your opponent's health or freeze them up. Then we have the shadow orb, which can potentially one-blow enemies as it empties your Musou gauge. Real handy for hard difficulties. Then there's the light, which pretty much breaks through the enemy's guard. Now onto the items themselves. You can unlock 30 items in this game, many from stat buffs to more gimmicked items that can help you in battle depending on your taste. You can carry multiple items in this game, so you can make a nice combo of whatever you prefer. Finally, we have the bodyguards. Contrary to Dynasty Warriors 3 and 4, where you start with 2 bodyguards that when leveled up turn into 8 bodyguards that get stronger and get new variants of troops and pick their weapons and colors too, Dynasty Warriors 5 took a different approach to this and allow you to only have 1 bodyguard this time. Their weapons and colors are preset here. One thing I apparently just found out, feel free to confirm or deny, the colors will be based off the officer you play as, depending on the kingdom. So if you play as Zhao Yun, you'll get a green one. If you play as Lu Bu, you'll get a white one. If that's true, then that's at least cool. They have different rankings as well, ranking from C to S. The rankings go off of what stat will level up more quickly. C focusing on 1, and it grows more depending on the rank, where S will level up everything quickly. There's also another rating next to it. These could be veteran, remarkable, brilliant, or superior. Veteran apparently being the worst, while superior is the best. These rankings will affect their initial stats and how fast they grow. They do also have different weapons: spear, sword, staff, fan, bow, and crossbow, all with their own gimmicks of attacking. Now, of course, they are still similar as they get stronger the more they level up. What you get out of this, of course, is stat increases and abilities that you can unlock for them too. These could be things like healing, stat buffs, finding an extra item or weapon post-battle, and so on. You almost always get a new bodyguard after battle, at least from my experiences, but you can get a guaranteed one if a bodyguard has that ability to make one join no matter what. Now, despite the lack of customization for bodyguards and not having more than one, unlike previous games, it's clear they went with a pretty diverse way of using them, all with their own strengths and weaknesses. I still prefer the old system of having 8 bodyguards, but I can't deny they put some nice thought into this bodyguard system, and I definitely still like it too. Also, back on the preparation stuff real quick, for more context here, you can still check all this stuff in the pause menu, but of course you can't update anything. Same to previous games. And one final note is that while you're in that screen, in the preparation, you can still have a chance to change your character's outfit if you change your mind. It's a nice little touch there. Now we leave preparation and back to the other options. Next is conditions. It simply tells you the victory and defeat conditions. Sometimes will vary depending on the battle. Unit info is self-explanatory as well, just telling you where everyone is currently on the battlefield, and yes, it will update as you go through the battle too, with their current locations. You can even click on the officer to show the sub-officer's location, which is a nice touch. Finally is the overview. This basically gives you a small rundown on the context of the battle while showing important landmarks and people too. There's no narrator for these, like in Dynasty Warriors 2 and 3, DB4 is where it was removed, but it is still cool that they added this in. Helps with the context and a better layout of the battlefield with key locations. Now, I will say I love how they have a 3D map of these battles. I think Dynasty Warriors 3's was the most detailed, and it started dying down in detail of terrain in Dynasty Warriors 4 and 5, but I'm still happy we have these lively, maneuverable maps in the game still. And it kind of still fits the aesthetic of Dynasty Warriors 5 itself, so I like it. But now we can get to the combat and battlefields themselves. Let's start with the battlefields and OST. The battlefields return to their more colorful and vibrant looks like how they were in Dynasty Warriors 3, making the maps look very lively, and it's nice to take in the sights as you're going through the battlefield. The OST feels more lively as well, like how it was in Dynasty Warriors 3 with its own, at the time, modern flair to it. The battlefields and music fit so well together in pretty much every battlefield you play. Next, we'll start with the HUD. Similar to pretty much every other Warriors game, you have your health and Musou gauge at the bottom left, the KO count on the bottom right, the top left is where you see the enemy health bars, the top right is the morale meter, letting you know which army currently has the advantage, and below that is the mini-map of the battlefield, which if you're on PS2 and you hit R2, you can change it to a little circle radar that shows what's closest to you. Then in the middle of the screen will be people talking or giving you messages on what's happening on the battlefield. It's a super busy HUD, but not hated by me personally, as I'm just used to these games having insane HUDs at this point. Now for the combat itself. It has been the same since Dynasty Warriors 2, but has gotten more depth and polish as time went on. In Dynasty Warriors 2 through 4, there was this really annoying directional lock that you had, where you stayed in one direction mid-combo, even if the enemy went out of your attack. In the spin-off Dynasty Warriors 4 Empires, they got rid of that and brought it into Dynasty Warriors 5. So it makes it by far the smoothest version of the old school combat, making it feel so neat and polished. You have the typical normal attack string of combos with the occasional strong attacks you can execute as well. For instance, you can do a full string of square attacks or do 2 squares and a triangle input for a strong attack in the middle of the combo. This time in this game, they added a little something extra, depending on if the weapon has this blue symbol next to the name of the weapon, and if your Musou is fully charged, you can do additional normal inputs to drag out the normal stream of combos even longer. You could of course block with L1. R1 will allow you to use your bow. It will take you to a first-person perspective with a circle crosshair in the middle that allows you to shoot arrows at your enemies. This can be a little silly as sometimes your allies can get in the way, and if it hits an ally, it doesn't go through them or anything, it just vanishes and misses your enemy. Guess points up for some slight realism, I guess? Would have been more funny if they had allies actually die during it, but that's just my off-script thoughts. There is, of course, 2 aces in the hole. The beloved Musou attacks. Basically, a super move that does a string of attacks while it leaves you invincible to dish out. The yellow and flashing bar once it's full below your blue health bar is the Musou gauge, and you can drain out the entire time while holding the circle button. There is one more. There is a pickup you can obtain on the battlefield called a Musou token. I think that's how it's called. I'm just going to call it that. I'm sorry if it's not the right term. This token can be used by pressing on the right stick, and it puts you in this super yellow lightning aura state. In this state, you aren't invincible, but you can tank more hits, your strikes are much faster, and you dish out more damage. Then while in this state, and your Musou gauge is full, you'll do the true Musou attack that is similar to the regular Musou attack, but it deals burn damage, and ends with a huge attack to those around you. Technically, you can get this Musou by also letting your Musou bar go low into the red, which will automatically charge your Musou gauge for you and deliver the exact same move. Along with polishing the combat from past games, Dynasty Warriors 5 gave a little extra to make it even more of a fun and new experience. Now for the battles as mentioned before. You have conditions to meet in order to win and conditions of defeat that you must avoid from happening. It can change off and on, but usually it's by defeating the commander while letting your commander and yourself live. Along the way, there are usually plenty of obstacles in your path from soldiers, officers, bases, and barracks. We mentioned that bar on the top right of the screen before, and again, that is your morale meter, letting you know who has the advantage in battle and how much of an impact it can make on the battle depending on who has the advantage. This is shown by the individual morales each officer has that you can see in the unit info. That can change depending on situations of defeating enough soldiers, losing sub-officers under them, or scripted events that affect it too. It's super important to make sure that their morale stays high so the battle will go more smoothly. One way to improve morale is of course defeating soldiers and officers. Another is bases that are placed throughout the battlefield, each with their own gimmick. A supply base, which is basically a typical base. It just has the regular soldiers in them, and they can buff themselves with either attack buffs, defense buffs, or just healing themselves. An attack base, which has soldiers with twin daggers, and their bases are equipped with catapults. And a defense base that has armored soldiers with them and shields and pitchforks. They are incredibly tanky and block a lot. The barracks can make a big difference too. Those are the locations with guard captains that have out-of-bounds spots that let soldiers respawn. Contrary to previous titles, if you take them out, you actually obtain them for your army, and now your soldiers can spawn through there as well. Getting rid of those from your enemies can really make a big difference if they have no more soldiers to bring out. Obviously, it'll only get harder as you go through other difficulties and stages, but it's very straightforward for the most part, like other Warriors games. The AI will ramp up in their difficulty as well as you climb through the stages and difficulties too. Their stats will only get higher and even get smarter against you too, while making it more difficult to keep you and your allies alive. And if you yourself want to get stronger, you'll have to get some items that you can pick up in battle. Some being temporary buffs to your speed, attack, defense, and an item that lets you have 10 seconds of unlimited Musou gauge usage. That would be the glorious Imperial Seal. Then there's permanent staff buff items for your stats you saw before. There is another method too, but that's later on in the video. The combat and overall gameplay has really done so well polishing itself as the games went on. It made Dynasty Warriors 5 from a combat perspective pretty much perfect from the PS2 games. But now we have finished up the main modes of Musou mode and free mode. Let's move on to the next bit of content that XL has to offer in this bundle. The first one being Legend mode. This mode was pretty much both XL's story and free mode, but done differently. Instead of individual story modes focusing on one person, these battles focus on multiple people, each person having their own version of these said battles. You play through each stage like you would in base Dynasty Warriors 5, but this time you go through the perspective of one of the officers offered to you with their own twists on the battle. Some will have you mow down enemies, some require stealth, others require you to defend a location, some even may have you enact a strategy. It helps with replayability, and the best part is that once you finish the stage, you can go back and play any of those stages with any character you want, no longer restricted to just the characters offered. This will also allow you to unlock special stuff through these missions as well, giving you even more replayability to unlock these said items. Next up, I'm actually going to tie both of these modes in here since they both use this feature, that being edit mode, and another mode in Dynasty Warriors that has been long wished back is Destiny mode. This mode allows you to make your own character and choose any of the Three Kingdom characters to be your master. To start off, the edit officer is very limited. This was only the second game that they made this, but even still, you can make some decent characters, but it's nothing to write home about when you end up seeing the later games. For its time, it was pretty good though. Once you make your character, you get to pick out the weapon you want. In regular edit mode, you can pick whatever weapon you want. In Destiny mode, you have to pick between these very basic weapons. Ones you'd see a generic officer have, which is a sword, spear, and a pike. This is the beauty of it though. You are starting off as a mere private in this mode, so you have to use what regular peons would have. I love that little detail that they gave instead of just giving you whatever weapon you wanted right off the bat. I adore how they executed this. Once that's done, you pick your master and you follow them through the more important battles of the Three Kingdoms era. So you don't get to do all the battles that you'd see through free mode, which I think was a tiny shame, but it's only just because I loved playing this mode so much. As you make your character and choose your master, you're met with a new menu here. Obtain skill, appearance, save, and depart. We'll focus on the top two, of course. The skills you can get in this game are massive and just shows how you start off so inexperienced, but how much you can learn and grow as a soldier. You start with nothing but 2-hit combos, but they do give you some points to start off with. You can upgrade your combos, life and Musou gauges, and things like getting a Musou in general, being able to use charge attacks, and even use Musou tokens. You literally start with nothing, and you have to buy all these things, which is so cool to me. I love that little feature. You are so insignificant until you get all these other things, but that's the glory of it. It's incredible to see how you can start with just the bare essentials and need to learn more over time. But there's even more. You can learn things like different types of arrows, being able to ride a horse, and a bunch of leadership and strategy skills to help you through the battle. You truly become a typical peon to a full-blown skilled general. Now onto appearance. You start with nothing, as expected. You do start to unlock more outfits as you play through this mode though. The one beauty of not having a lot of stages is that you can go back and play with another master to get more outfits that you can also use in normal edit mode. And yes, you'll be able to save your officer from this mode into edit mode so you can use them in other modes. Now we'll depart the battle. Same as Musou mode, we'll get a briefing from one of the generals you work under. After that, you'll get a little speech from your master. Same music, and love that you act as a usual soldier who hears the general giving his orders and briefing, then getting a second one from your master on your objective and getting a little talk with them that gives you a little bit of connection with them and builds up more over time. Now onto the preparation screen. Now this one actually has some differences from the other one. You have objectives, preparation, conditions, and unit info. We'll go over the ones that are new here. We'll start with objectives. These are bonus objectives that you can get, and if you complete them, you will get a better rating and more skill points to use later on. These can range from something simple like achieving victory quickly, finding letters, destroying bases, taking out specific type of soldiers, destroying officers, maintaining your health at a certain percentage. I could go on. Some of these are you using your raw gameplay skill and speed. Others will probably require you to have certain skills unlocked like strategy ones to gain strategy KOs or something. It's a really fun way to add more fun and challenge to this mode. Below this is the preparation once again. The biggest difference is that you can only choose the weapon you have unlocked. Now, there is no limitation to what weapons you can get in this game. In Destiny mode, you can get any weapon from just about anyone or have it gifted to you by your master. As the game progresses, you'll potentially have 4 different weapons to choose from. And yes, you'll have the option to choose what weapon your character sticks with at the end of the game to use in different modes. Now, on to the battle. Same kind of description of gameplay as usual, but this time as you start off, you're usually told to stay by your master and contribute as much as you can so you can get a good rating and praise from your master, sometimes resulting in promotions and obtaining rewards. As you go through more battles with more skills and more promotions, you get to have more freedom to do what you want so long as you still contribute well through different means of KOs, strategies, and objective completions. You'll even get the attention of opposing officers that will sometimes ask you to betray your master and join them instead. It's insane how this side mode has so much detail to it and a lot of replay value to it as well. Again, this is something people have been wanting to see back for such a long time. Now, let's move on to Extreme Mode. This mode is pretty much a gauntlet survival mode type of game that also has some fun features in it. You can pick whatever character you want here, and you start off with your base stats and level 1 weapon with nothing on it. You jump into this new menu with a nice chill song, which I absolutely love the vibe to. You get some new stuff here with destination, switch officers once you're further into the game, inventory, interim save, and exit. Destination is where you'll pick your next stage. You'll have 3 stages to choose from, and each one has their own difficulty rating, as well as a chance to go to either the shop or a blacksmith. Switch officers will be something you see later on once you actually have allies. You can have up to 6. You can have 3 join you in battle and 3 in reserves. You can switch them out whenever you are in this menu. I did notice too that they don't actually heal while they're in reserves, which is kind of unfortunate. You would assume they would, but yeah, I guess they really want to amp up the difficulty and do that. Eventually, you'll also get some abilities to where certain characters will let you heal after a battle, or you would just have to heal them up when you're going to the shop or something. It's just, I guess, adds to the difficulty curve, which is fine. Inventory will show you what you've acquired as you play through this mode. Interim save will let you save your progress and leave the menu to come back to it later. Obviously, it won't be there if you play with a new character while you're in the middle of your current section. Exit is exit. So back onto the shop and blacksmith. In that menu, you can see that you will have 2 currencies. One is just called points, which, I mean, technically it has like a copper symbol to it. If you want to even just go like that and just say copper, but usually they just call it points in the mode. And the other one is iron. The points will be for the shop where you can get healed up, stat boosts, items that can help you in battle, or gimmicked items that will give you certain criteria to meet to get extra points after a battle. You can also sometimes see other officers here as well that you can pay as a sword for hire, and they'll be one of your bodyguards on the battlefield. The iron is used on the blacksmith where you can make your weapon stronger. The more power you give it, the more your weapon will upgrade and give you more moves and the stronger variants of that character's weapon. You can also change the weight of it here if it's an option, as well as give you extra buffs like the ones on screen now. But now we can jump into battle and go into the preparation screen once again. Kind of similar to free modes where you see weapons and items, but no bodyguards since you get them through playing the game. You only have the weapon you start with, and as said before, you'll get a better version of it as you level it up more in the blacksmith. Items here that you get are one-time use, so you need to pick them much more carefully on when the best time is to use them. Now onto the battles themselves. For the most part, they're just skirmishes that happen in each stage. Smaller on scale of officers on the map, but each stage can actually offer you an objective to do and gain more points and other rewards to help you through your playthrough. I won't name them all, but naming a few is defending a village elder or attacking a village elder, taking out bandits, kidnapping people, delivering letters to other officers on the map, fighting strong opponents, and so on. It leaves this game mode with a nice challenge, and it's fun to get more allies as you go through and get stronger yourself as you face tougher obstacles. A nice thing that I heard too, if you end up dying on this game mode and want to do another, you'll have points and iron to carry over for your other playthrough, so even losing seems to have its benefits. It's a great time killer and real fun to see what scenarios we'll run into while doing this mode. The replay value here, per usual with this game, is really great. Now we can move on to the last gameplay mode in Dynasty Warriors 5, which is Challenge Mode. I won't spend too much on these since they are still pretty self-explanatory, but more of it is, it's definitely one of the more fun challenge modes that I've played. You get Time Attack, Gatekeeper, Speed Strike, Rampage, Sudden Death, and Bridge Melee. Time Attack is defeating 100 enemies as quickly as you can to get the best time. Gatekeeper is you defending 2 access points from the enemy as long as you can. Speed Strike is you destroying as many objects and defeating as many enemies as quickly as possible to earn points within the time given to you. Rampage is you being given a certain amount of time and you have to defeat as many enemies as possible within the said time limit. Sudden Death is defeating as many enemies as possible before you get hit once, and then you die. Then Bridge Melee is you knocking off as many enemies as possible within the time limit given to you without either falling off yourself or getting KO'd while sitting on the bridge. You do these stages with your base stats and level 3 weapon to offer a fair challenge to you. It's a nice time killer and it's a pretty fun way to hone and test your skills. They even have rankings so you can see how well you've been doing over time. Now we move on to the camp. This is where you can view officers and the weapons you've gotten for them. You can see the items you have, check out the bodyguards you've obtained, and even power up your characters. The last one we will at least go over. Here you can use the upgrade points you obtain through battles and upgrade your character's stats and even their weapons power and attributes they have on said weapons. You'll get more of these points as you play through the game. Now we move over to the encyclopedia. The encyclopedia is a place you can go to get a nice story of the 3 kingdoms through text and some pictures if you want a slightly better understanding of the game's story. It's surprisingly been one I've read a couple times in other games. If you're cool with taking a break and want a little read, I'd check it out. Starts at the Ultim Rebellion all the way to the fall of the Three Kingdoms. It's pretty cool that they added this in some of their games. They really didn't have to, kind of deal, but like, I actually really appreciate the fact that they did, because sometimes I actually do go onto these and just read the encyclopedia of these games. Yes, I can be that bored sometimes, don't judge me. The other option is being able to check out all the officers you run into in this game. From playable characters to even generic officers. The music is real chill too when you want to read up on the officers or the Three Kingdoms story. So it's real nice to just chill and have a read of the story as well to see what officers you want to check out. Finally, the options menu, which we can actually talk about a few things with. We have the settings tab, which allows you to turn off and on events, and then there's map events, which I tried looking this up, but I wasn't sure what this meant. For some reason, within these 20 years, I never actually bothered to see what this means, so if anyone knows in the comments, feel free to let me know. At first, I read it wrong and thought this was just to make it to where your minimap could be either manually changed or automatically, but then I saw the off option and I wasn't sure. I tried to look it up on Google, and obviously you can only imagine how reliable that can be sometimes. That said, it's a specific, sometimes optional occurrence that can happen during a battle or a particular battle. That just left me confused, so if anyone can explain better or give an example down below, I'd be much appreciated. My only thought process with that is how I mentioned earlier with the Musou mode, where depending on the character that you play, you can get some different cutscenes, some different occurrences there. Is that what they meant? It only just popped in my head off script just now reading this. Anyway, then there's the controls where you can change the mapping of the controls to your liking for player 1 and 2. You can turn the vibration on and off and pick your desired bow control from either normal or reverse. You also, of course, have the sound options. You can even listen to the songs you've unlocked in this game through this menu. Obviously, adjusting the screen and the save load stuff is also very self-explanatory. There's no way I can even go into depth with that type of thing, and we will not go into depth with that thing. Next is the movies, where you can see all the pre-rendered cutscenes that you unlocked while playing the game. From events for big battles or everyone's endings that you got when finishing a story, to even the openings and credits. It's a real nice way to look back if you wanted to experience them again. Finally, one of the coolest things in the option menu, I think started in Dynasty Warriors 3 and made its way over to Dynasty Warriors 5, is the opening editor. You can see some of the pre-made openings that the devs made for each kingdom, or you can make your own with your favorite characters and see it pop up when you're idle in the main menu once it cycles into it. I spent quite some time doing these in DDB 3 through 5, so happy that's made it into the game. It's easily one of my favorite features. It's a small thing, but it's such a cool little small thing. I love it to death. And there we have it, Dynasty Warriors 5's breakdown. I can really see why it's such a beloved game and why so many consider it to be the best Dynasty Warriors game overall. It has so much fun content to be had and still plays so smoothly even to this day. I'd say too, it's up there in one of the all-time greats of Warriors games. It's not my favorite, but it's most certainly up there for me. For me, it's preference, but I adore this game a lot, and it's clear as to why. It's so fun, replay-friendly, and very polished. Easily one of the best PS2 game eras, and if you haven't played this, I highly recommend you at least give it a shot. For a lot of new fans as well, this is definitely the game to start off with if you want to at least start with older hardwared games. This is definitely the game to go into. This one is so great. There's nothing really bad I can say about this game. But there you have it. That is a full breakdown of what I could explain in Dynasty Warriors 5 and why it's considered one of, if not the best Dynasty Warriors game ever. Of course, you all have your own opinions. I have my own opinions. But if you want to share your opinions or anything else and anything that I missed down below, leave it in the comments. Leave a like as well. This was a long project and I decided to do all of it in one day because I just don't have a lot of time to do all this stuff. But regardless, if you guys did enjoy it and you want to show your support, hit that like button, would so much appreciate it. And of course, if you're new to my channel, like my content, hit that subscribe button, would greatly appreciate it as well. We are trying to hit 10K subs on the channel. Until then, thank you so much for watching. This was so much fun to make. I really enjoyed doing this. Have a great rest of your day and or evening. I'll see you all in the next one. Farewell.